Good morning, everybody. How are you doing? Hopefully, everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving break. We had a 3.5 day week last week. It was still a record-breaking week for the overall market. It was the best week since the '08 crisis with the 4 straight green days in the SPY and the QQQ. Great way to close out November. Now I'm ready to start up December with some bags. So let's dive in. If you're new here, I release this weekly watch list every single Tuesday, but it's released on Monday in the Simpler Trading website under Stock Mavericks. You can always check me out and the Simpler Trading website and join the team for only $7 trial. Take advantage of it before that disappears. But today we're going to talk about how we were able to go profitable last week in a slower, steady week. We actually won 4 out of 4 trades. And now let's see if we could make some money this week. And this week is a new week, new month, new slate. I always like to say, put the last month behind you. I know November, the last week, was a lot going on, but before that, there wasn't really much. And the end of the year is usually quick, but this year it's been very slow. So I'm actually getting prepared and getting excited for the close of 2025. I think this close, we're going to get a Santa rally. And if not, I do think 2026 is going to be the best year in the stock market yet. We will make new all-time highs in Bitcoin and the overall market next year. So get excited for that and let's start preparing. How I like to read my weekly watch list is I always start with sectors first, and then I'll get into listed stuff, options, and OTCs. So bear with me if you're waiting for the OTCs and options, because those are last on my list. But I always started off with a sector watch list. Most of my profit, if you go back to my Profitly and my this is my full track record of all my trades since 2015. Most of these big spurts that you see here are from sector momentum. And sector momentum is usually where I grow my account, and that's usually where I start my watch list. So we'll start off talking about 2 sectors this week. None of them I'd say jump the gun right away, but definitely decent ones to keep an eye on to take advantage if they do heat up. And the first one is gambling. And the big outside factor that's heating up this gambling situation is that 3 gambling licenses are going to be given out in one of the highest taxed cities or revenue taxes in the state or in the states, and that's New York. We got DraftKings looking for a possible multi-month breakout of 36. We got PENN, which is the one that used to have a deal with Barstool, but now they're with ESPN, or they might have just left ESPN, but trying to create a green day. MGM's already on multiple green days, so I wouldn't mess with that one too much. BYD if it continues, Caesar, and then Wynn is up by 52-week highs. All of these stocks I'd probably play options. I just like to keep an eye on the stock, but I'd most likely play options in all of these. And then the next group of stocks that I have here are gold stocks. Now, the one thing I do want to bring up before I dive into gold stocks is all of these are listed stocks, and the QQQ and SPY, even though they had such a great week last week with 4 straight green days, they actually are gapping down pretty nicely. So you do want to be a little careful. Personally, I do think the market does need a little pullback after 5 straight green days. But if we do hold for a day or two, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I think we can curl and keep going. So that might be when these really are the time we should take advantage of it. But looking at the next sector is gold. And gold's a slower sector. You usually aren't going to make a large return from gold, but from one day to the next, you can slowly add up your account, 5-10% gains every night. And that's usually what I look for. One of the stocks we played overnight from Thursday to Friday was this gold stock, AYASF. It broke this 1150 and came all the way to 14. Now we're looking for the possible breakout above 14. Why we're looking at all these gold stocks is because if you look at the large gold sector leaders, this JNUG ETF is up to 190. You have gold ETF, GLD, is gapping up. And then you also have NGD, National Gold, New Gold or whatever, and that one's up. So a lot of stuff is moving in the gold sector, and that usually causes a breakout here, which you can see the huge day that it caused yesterday or Friday. KNTNF hasn't broken out yet, so watching that, and same with WDOFF. GLGDF, another one that kind of created a first green day. We actually had this on the overnight watch list on Friday, so we'll see if it gaps up. And then the last OTC I wanted to watch was AABB. The rest of these stocks, actually, I'm looking to possibly short after USAU. DSVSF, I think, is too extended, and if it goes 1 or 2 more days, which is gapping up, it should come back down. And same with SNWGF. So not shorting them in a strong market, but if the markets start to change, which gold doesn't just go straight up, that's when I'll look to change in this direction. And then the rest of these stocks, I just want you to highlight them. I don't really think that there's anything going on too crazy until the markets actually turn. So if the markets dip all week this week, we're not going to get anything out of these. We still can easily get stuff out of these stocks and more. But these stocks are really just trending with the market. And if you've noticed, the market got a big bounce. Some of these stocks got a bounce, but most of them are still kind of consolidating. I mean, this dropped from 418 to 120, and we had it on the overnight watch list from 120 to 150. But ever since then, it's just settling. So watching that over, SES is the next one for a possible first green day. RCAT hasn't really made a big day from its bounce. LAES is a quantum stock that just fell from 8 to 350. APPS, leveling out. IONQ, another quantum stock that we're looking to get above 50. And then BNED was the last one. And BNED I like because it actually finally turned around last week. If you were with us last week and you could go watch my YouTube video, you'll see how I talked about Barnes & Noble as being the jackpot play last week when it held 640. And after it held that 640 spot, it spiked all the way to 9. So that's last week's list. Now on this week's list, we're still watching it, but we needed to hold 860 and 9 and then curl back up for the breakout. And then the last stocks, I'm not going to talk about too much because they're Bitcoin-related stocks. But one I do want to show you is MSTR. I think this one deserves to be watched because remember Michael Saylor was talking about selling kidneys for this stock? Well, it just fell from 450 to 167, so I hope you didn't do that. But I do think we are due for bounces when Bitcoin bounces. Bitcoin is down right now, so just like the market, I'm not really interested in these just yet. But trust me, these will make a move when they do turn around. The next stock I'm going to talk about is a new Bitcoin that actually recently popped up called ZCash. If you've never heard of ZCash before, you can go to CoinDesk or any other Coinbase and look it up. It just ran from $50 all the way to $700, and it caused a huge spike in these two stocks. Now we're gapping down huge, so I'm looking for a first red day in ZCSH today. But if I don't catch it, when this does bounce, I think we'll get big bounces. Because look at CYPH. From 360, it's back down to 120, and it'll probably fall lower. And then the other one, ZCSH. Honestly, if this gets any pop in the morning, I'm going to short it. So I'm hoping it comes up in the morning somehow, some way. I think it's going to fall back below 25 finally. It's been holding 25 for a while, but if it falls below 25, we might panic. And it's been holding that spot now for a while. But the market, Zcash is falling, so I think this will fall with it. Those are my downtrending stocks. Now to close it out, we just have a list of listed OTC and options. These are just stocks that I'm watching for the week to continue. SMX had a huge gap up last week. If we can level out above 50 or right around this area, looking for that next leg up, the morning momentum play. ABAT, I've played this stock just recently for this green day to this green day. Usually when it has a 10% day, it follows up, and it's fallen from 1140. So another one I think is due. ONDS is a higher priced one. Well, not higher priced, but it's a little slower. But you can see the big run it's had. It's actually trending back up. So this is one of the stocks that actually already started to trend back up. And if we do make that leg back above $9, $8.80, I think we're going to head towards breakout there. And then the last listed stock is a robotic stock, falling from 340 to 170. Just looking for the follow-up green day. I've seen it happen tons of times in this stock, so we'll see if it can do it again. Options, not too much options this week because of the weird market. Honestly, the strong market that we had, I do think we need a pullback. But hey, if we hold, $40 for a couple days, and then Wednesday or Thursday we start to curl back up, these stocks are due. I mean, we have a gap down fill that's coming up. So Celsius is one of my top ones I like for a possible bounce. We also got SON and BBAI that are a little quicker movers than Celsius. SON was on my list to hold 1130 last week. So if you go back to last week and you listen to it, I talked about it holding 1130. Well, 1130 was the gap down spot, and that's why I said that spot, and it's done nothing but hold it since it's broken out. So nice to see there. BBAI is the next one. Nice movement there, looking for the possible follow-up. And then last but certainly not least are OTC stocks. And I always like to look at OTCs. They're one of my favorite because I started trading OTCs in 2015. And even though I don't trade them all the time, I still trade OTCs for sure. The one stock we are in over the weekend is an OTC stock, and I did that on purpose because the markets have been gapping down lately. So why not go after one that possibly might not get too affected by the market? And I'm sure this might not get anything too special because it's also metal stocks, and metals is also gapping down too. So it's not really the sign we want to start the day, but it's not like a listed stock that's gapping down big. And then the last two are just examples I want to show you that sub-penny stocks could be waking up. This came from 1 cent to 0.004. Grillet, the same thing, from 1 cent to 0.004. Not saying to buy these stocks, but ones to show you that we are waking up in the OTC market. So say the markets make all-time highs in 2026, I'm sure something like this will wake up again, and that'll be the double whammy if we're making all that. But all right, guys, that's where I'm going to close out this weekly watch list. For those of you guys that think this is interesting, come check me out in the Simpler Trading Room. I'm live every single morning. We actually release this watch list at 8:30 in the morning before the week starts. So come check me out under Stock Mavericks in Simpler Trading, or hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, show some love with maybe a comment if you want. And hopefully you guys make some money off of one of these plays this week. I always say if I could make money off of one of these, I'll be happy. And that's the work that you have to put in as a stock trader. All right, everyone, stay safe. December trading is ahead of us. Let's close out this year strong. And if it is a slower month, remember, there is always more opportunity ahead. See you guys. Have a great week.